This past Friday night, I ran into a friend, and I mentioned that I was going to be speaking about Timmy tonight, and would be spending the weekend trying to write something that would be good enough to do justice in expressing my feelings about him. This friend, who happens to write for a living, said it should be easy. As long as I had one or two anecdotes to tell about it would be fine. Then he turned to me and asked, is the person you're speaking about the kind where you might be able to come up with a story or two? I looked at him, smiled, and said, you have no idea. There's a great off-the-run Springsteen song where, referring to a great friend, he writes, love is a power greater than death, just like the songs and stories told. I always think about Timmy when I hear this song. So in keeping with these words, I want to tell you about 21 reasons why I love Timmy Cogs. One for every year I knew him, complete with stories told, but luckily for all of you, no songs. 1. I love Timmy because he had zero tolerance for polyester. The same went for short-sleeved dress shirts, bad haircuts, and cheap shoes. Stewie?
Wow.
The hair of the shoes.
Well, Timmy was merciless, and no one dared to question the signature style he created that often consisted of a blue blazer with a dress shirt, golf shorts, and white bucks with no socks. Of course, that wasn't always the case. I still remember the first day I met him. He'd gotten on the elevator with me at 99 Wall Street, and without knowing who I was or that he would be working with me, he stuck out his hand and introduced himself. While I came to love this big-heartedness, what I remember most were the shoes he wore. They were an odd, oversized, clearly borrowed pair of wingtips that fit him so poorly they actually curled up at the toes. So even though for years he ruled over our office as the fashion police, I never mentioned those shoes again.
I still have those shoes.
I believe they did, Frank. I think they were your shoes.
They look a winner.
I loved him for his enriched vocabulary that we all learned to speak. A large enough vocabulary that eventually someone took it upon themselves to compile a list. Years ago, I was with a friend at a concert and I ran into Timmy, who was talking in full-blown Coglin speak. When he walked away, she said, he seems like a really nice guy, but I really didn't understand anything he just said. And to this day, when one of my teenagers is going on and on about some implausible explanation for what actually might have happened to our car, I can turn to Julie and simply say, what a bird. I loved Cogs for never meeting someone he didn't think deserved a nickname. The nicknames were usually assigned quickly and stuck for life. On our desk, almost 30 years ago, the sandwich order was handed out incorrectly, and someone ended up eating the sandwich our boss had ordered. When he came out of a meeting and demanded to know what had happened to his lunch, Jimmy Hillen was so quick to give up Timmy as the offender that Jimmy earned the nickname Stoolie that sticks to this day. There are probably people who don't even know what Jimmy's real name is. Timmy was amazingly generous. Once I was out with him and just happened to mention that the following night I'd be going to a fundraiser for one of my children's kindergarten teachers who had recently been diagnosed with cancer. As I went to leave that night, he handed me a blank check and told me to just buy something at the event. I hesitated since I had no idea of an amount of money or details or what he might want, but he said it didn't matter. I explained that there was everything from a signed Michael Jordan basketball to a round of golf at Montclair with Julie. He, of course, picked the round of golf with Julie. I would be on childcare. And then proceeded to write a check that would have covered a round of golf with Tiger Woods. To this day, Julie maintains that he didn't overpay. I love Timmy for being so unsentimental that he only ever referred to his parents by their first names, Frank and Alice, never Mom and Dad. But really, he was so sentimental that in a very untraditional gesture, he made sure that Frank and Alice were on each of his arms to escort him down the aisle to marry Laura. I also love Timmy for being a smart enough man once he'd met Laura to not let her get away. Among his friends, he defied the odds on this one. It still makes me laugh that he called me just before I was going to meet her because he felt he had to remind me that I should pronounce her name Maura, not Moira. And I loved him because I have never doubted that he was enough of a man to be happy that Laura, Ryan, Sean, and Riley have been able to find a new life surrounded by the love, care, and happiness of Billy and Kevin.